Hello, Apps here from Dimp Digital. Welcome to the Game Club. On this edition, I'm joined by Mr. Tom Adkins, not Adcock. How's it going?
Not too shabby, my pal. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. It sounds like you're a little bit under the weather.
Oh, I am. I've had a real torrid month.
Have you?
Two little fucking sprogs have given me some sort of lurgy. They're fine now, which I'm livid about.
Yeah.
And now I've just been left with this fucking dirt box cold. The stuff that's coming out of my nose is disgusting.
Yeah, it doesn't sound very... He didn't sound too healthy earlier, and I thought, well, maybe I have to take sick leave, but he soldiered on.
That's it, I thought, that's it. I've pseudo-fed myself up to give you the gaming news that you need to know about.
And the one game that we've both been playing is The Outer Worlds.
Yeah.
Now, this is a Obsidian game, available on all platforms other than the Switch. And
Coming to Switch show, isn't it?
is it? Well,
Yeah, I saw it was on the last Direct, and I was like, how are they getting that on there?
yeah. I mean, there you go. It will be available on the Switch one day
Silly.
in the near future. But the key thing with The Outer Worlds is that we're both customers of this Xbox Game Pass.
Titles.
I think we both signed up for it on a reasonably good deal of like £1 activation, and then had Xbox Live for X amount of years, and it translated to costing about £6 or something for several years of Game Pass. So we've got that, and The Outer Worlds has landed on that, and it came day in and date. So it was there on release date, ready to download. You could pre-download it and then just play it as soon as it was out.
Ooh.
Is this the highest profile Game Pass game that's done that day and date, do you think?
The fact that although they now own the studio, the fact that it's out on other consoles, it could very well be. You look at something like Gears 5.
Yep.
Obviously, that's a very big franchise, but then it's at Xbox. But for day one to be released, and people were sitting there paying £45 to play on PlayStation.
Yep.
I think it could take the title. To be fair.
Yeah. No, it's been. I was really. I think they first sort of spoke about it at E3, and then we'd seen it again. I'd seen clips of it. They announced Obsidian was going to be purchased, and this, I think, is probably going to be their last sort of multi-platform game, unless Microsoft decide to release on other platforms, which they have done with things like Cuphead and or in the Blind Forest. So that's appeared on Switch. So there may be opportunity there, but this will probably be the last one that appears on at least the PlayStation platform from Obsidian.
Yep.
Now, there's several headlines or several bullet points you could say to describe this game.
Yep.
One is, as you put it, you said it was a Fallout reskin. Now, I know what a tremendously big fan you are of the Fallout franchise, probably your favourite gaming franchise out there.
Yep.
Does that mean that this is, in your world now, one of the best games that's been released in 2019?
I think it's Game of the Year contender. Not a fucking chat. No, it's difficult because I think if
You
I didn't
hate
have
Fallout.
I'm not a huge fan of Fallout. No, I didn't play the Obsidian one.
No, neither did I.
New Vegas. I power ran through fucking breakneck the number 3. I've completed that in about 13 hours, which is insane.
Yeah.
And then I give 4 a decent chance. I played about almost 50 hours of that game.
Yeah.
Gave it a good C into, sort of tried to play it as much as people were saying, doing the wandering and rummaging. And, I didn't hate it, but it's never clicked with me, this type of game. People say to me like, "Oh, are you just not a fan of RPGs?" But I think I am. I enjoyed like Deus Ex. I enjoyed Witcher. I'm quite a big fan of Mass Effect. I love RPGs, but something about these games, which I think has also carried over to the Outer Worlds, it just doesn't click with me, and it feels dated. This game feels, I feel it feels dated, but we'll get onto that. So yeah, I'm not a big lover of this, say, first-person RPG, maybe.
Yeah.
So, like I said, if I didn't own Game Pass, I don't think I would have been buying this day one.
Yeah. No, I mean, go on.
glaring reviews, so that did get me sniffing.
Oh yeah, the reviews. I think the last time I checked at Open Cricket, it was like an 85, an 86 when it first came out. And I'll check what it is in a moment here. But yeah, I mean, it was sitting at an 85 still, so that's pretty high. Because normally what happens with Obsidian games is, especially ones that are in this bracket of first person RPGs, they come out and they are buggy as fuck.
Yeah.
As in, I remember playing Fallout New Vegas, that was buggy as fuck. And other than it having a really strong narrative, that really did hinder the game on release, and it took lots of time to get it up to scratch. I've played nearly 7 hours of the Outer Worlds, and what I've been playing on Xbox One X, same as you, Game Pass jobby, I've not encountered anything really that's been...
No.
I was expecting sloppy presentation. I was expecting lip syncing to be dreadful.
Big thing for me in the build up to the game, I sort of could see it and I was thinking, fucking the backlash that Mass Effect Andromeda got.
Yeah, you can't get away with it these days.
Pull this out the house, but yeah, same as you. As soon as I started playing the game, I was like, cool, they really have pulled this out of the bag. That's a lot better than it looked in the trailers. Yeah,
it's much more polished than what you'd expect from Obsidian, and also from, if you're a fan of the Fallout games, you kind of just know that you're going to run into things. And I mean, we're not significantly through the game, but I think we've both had, there's been no crashes, anything like that. Graphically, looks pretty nice. I've been enjoying the setting for the Outer Worlds and the graphics.
A thing for me, this setting and the style of the game, I definitely prefer to Fallout.
Yeah.
Fallout, I suppose 4 was a bit more extravagant, but it was just brown, wasn't it? Just depressing brown things. This is, it reminds me a bit of like No Man's Sky, some of the style and that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the sort of story and setting definitely I prefer on this side. It's just the quote unquote reskin for me.
Yes, I mean that's the one bullet point we kind of got. Is it a reskin? I'd say it's more akin to and this is not meant in a negative way. It's more of a Fallout Light,
right?
And what I mean by that is that you can wander off and explore. There are side quests, there are activities and things like that you can do, but it's not one big open map where you can just from the get-go go off and explore and get lost essentially, like especially in that first sort of area, that first planet you're on. You're kind of quite restricted. It's not the biggest map, and I've not really got far enough to know if that's the general way it works, but I've got a feeling that's how it'll work. You'll sort of move from planet to planet. There'll be maybe 1 or 2 hub worlds on that planet and then a little bit of space between, but it's not this big sprawling open world where you're just going to run into all sorts of danger and bits and pieces, and I'm sure there are things to find out, but it's on a much smaller scale. But the I guess the plus point of that is that, and this might be a positive or a negative for some people, is I don't feel like it's going to need 80 hours out of me.
No.
It feels like it's a bit more toned back. They're just concentrating a little bit more on the story, making sure the presentation's right. They've not gone for scale, they've gone for depth.
Yeah, that's one thing that excites me. I'm a big fan of short games these days with small time, and it definitely looks like it's this type of game, and because it is a sort of diversion from the genre, because most of the other games, they are, like you say, like 80 hours long, and like you said, the Fallout, especially a Fallout, being able to just wander off and do your own shit was where you spent most of the hours.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that they've tightened it up a little bit and not gone for the big, we've got the biggest map in the world, find all the secrets jobby. It's we're going to focus on these set areas that you can visit and go to and make them rich and deep, which I think is an interesting way of doing it.
Yeah.
The third kind of bullet point that's out there is, and you kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier on, was this is Fallout in space. And you mentioned there that you preferred this setting. Yeah. What's kind of got you going on down that narrative, down that path?
I just prefer it to the sort of apocalyptic sort of post-apocalyptic thing that's been done. I know space has obviously been done a lot of times, but I don't know. It just excites me more a bit. I think being able to go to different places. See different planets, see different things, different people, different aliens.
Yeah.
Just that sort of thing. I'm more interested in that than seeing the sort of post-apocalyptic wasteland, barren wasteland. I quite like the sort of story about the game as well, how it's sort of like it's about colonizing on different planets, and there's still like a sort of almost like a government that sort of is all capitalists, and it's sort of power struggle against them. So yeah, I don't know, just the story and setting just appeals to me a lot more than the Fallout games.
Yeah. So those are the sort of 3 bullet points that we mentioned there. They're a little bit lazy, those comparisons, but they do give people at least an idea of what they're getting into. And I've enjoyed the time I've spent with it. I've enjoyed playing around with the narrative and the choices more than I usually do. Like normally I'm quite straight edged, and this time I've been just sort of killing people at random just to see what I could do in the game, and it's not really punished me or pushed back yet.
No.
I've killed people that you probably shouldn't kill, and the game's kind of adapted to me doing that.
Yeah,
albeit the outcome's not what I'd normally desire, but I've been impressed that the game's allowing me a lot more flexibility where usually there would be like a non-killable NPC.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are people like that in this game, but it feels like there's a lot more opportunities there for players to have agency over how they go about things and just see what crazy paths they take.
I think I've read somewhere that there's only one character in the game that can't be killed. The rest is that you can kill them, and then the story will adapt to however you feel. Yeah. And I think that's by far the best hook of this game. I think the RPG elements are incredible. The way you can tailor your character.
Yeah.
Like I say, in my head, I've made like a sort of Han Solo sort of character that sort of bends rules and sort of treats people like shit, but wants to get the job done. And I think, in terms of that, the only thing that has annoyed me is I wanted to be a bit more stealthy, and that hasn't really worked.
I just can't seem to get it right in these games. No. I've very few first person, other than like you mentioned Deus Ex earlier. That seemed to have decent-ish stealth and things like Dishonored. But they were kind of... Dishonored in particular was tailor-made for, stealth. But whenever you get to these big RPGs, whether it's a Fallout, whether it's a... I'll finish playing Kingdom Come Deliverance. There's stealth in that if you want to use it. And it just never works.
No.
It's not something to be relied on anyway. It's never a stat that I'd ever go and invest time and points into because I can't execute it for whatever reason. I don't know if it's me, whether it's the game.
No, I think this is the biggest gripe that I'm having with the game. Well, there's 2 biggest gripes. I'll get onto the second one in a minute, but I do feel this game is a bit sort of lost in time a little bit. I think, that certainly the FPS genre has moved on. It's little things like quality of life improvements that they call it. So I think like the weight of the guns, you just don't feel that in this game.
No.
Don't have the same punch as you'd get in a sort of Call of Duty or a Borderlands or something like that. Even going to slide or climb up something and you don't hang on to ledges, all that small simple things.
Yeah.
So used to being able to do that in games, and not being able to do that in this, it sort of bugs me a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I tried to get over wasn't even like a really big set of rocks, but there was like a bit of rock. I thought, rather than going round, I'll just climb over this bit and get over the other side.
Yeah.
And even though I was jumping high enough to clear the said rocks, I couldn't go up there because the game didn't want me to. It was like an invisible wall almost. Yeah. It definitely does have those restrictions on there, and I think, looking at some of the negative points, I think the combat's definitely where it falls short. I mean, that's... Yeah, I mean, I'd say that's something that other games haven't addressed, but there are RPGs out there, and perhaps not of the narrative choices that this one offers. I think back even looking at something like Mass Effect Andromeda, which, for all its flaws, had the best combat that the series had ever had, and that is not what's prevalent here in the Outer Worlds. It's first person, it's mainly shooting. You can do hand to hand, but yeah, you're right. It doesn't feel like there's any weight behind the weapons. The sort of I guess the best thing I used to love about Fallout was the VAT system. So you'd hit a button and time would slow, and then you could target certain parts of the body and like if they were weak in certain areas, and it would give you a percentage, all this good stuff that VAT's offered. They haven't got that in the Outer Worlds, and I wasn't expecting to copy it, and what they've got instead is like a cheap version of bullet time almost, where you can just sort of slow down time, and aim your shots, and then eventually that'll run dry. But I think combat-wise is where it's not at its strongest.
No, that's something that's a tickle in me. It's just that stealth thing that really bugs me. But like you say, a lot of games do struggle to get that. Also, like things I haven't come across any sort of grenades or anything or
throwables. No.
Yeah, throwables. The inventory is pretty cool. You know, it's the thing that annoyed me a bit was the sort of I suppose they've got to for the newcomers to the franchise, but I just felt that the tutorial they just throwed so much information at you at one.
Yeah,
I was sort of as a playing something like Fallout, you sort of expect what to come, and in the end I was just sort of skipping through, going yeah. I'm sure it's an extensive tutorial for someone who has no idea what they're playing, and if you sit down and read everything and that, then you'll take it in thing. But I just felt it was so much at one point at the beginning. I was sort of like, yep, okay.
Let me get on with it, yeah.
Yeah.
So you've mentioned... Sorry, go on.
I was going to say my second point that with this that annoys me, I do struggle with the part of RPGs. Maybe RPGs aren't for me, to be honest, but it's when you're talking to the characters, I like being able to have choice, but when there's so much dialogue and all you're looking at is someone's face and they're not literally they're not moving, I just find my brain, I must have a very short attention span, I think, and I tend to sort of just think and then I start skipping. And I think
Biff tactics. Biff tactics, skipping dialogue.
That's the thing. Well, I start reading it because I tend to play with subtitles on for some reason. So I tend to sort of read it quicker than they say it. So then I'm skipping it, and then in the end I think, oh, for fuck's sake, he's still talking. He ain't moved a centimetre. His mouth's just moving.
He's still droning on.
And I've got this weird thing with my brain that I have to go through everything they say. So pretty much every NPC in this game has asked me a question, and then they have about 4 or 5 questions that then can span to something else. It's you know, as an RPG, it's great that they've got this sort of depth in sort of lore and questions you can ask and information you can find out. But my brain's telling me I've got to listen to everything, and like I say, that when it's just a picture of a man's face or a woman's face, and all it's doing is their mouth, so there's no sort of interaction. It just takes me out of it a little bit, and you're skipping. But
it's that's just how they've been.
I mean, it's thing, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. They're saying that like Mass Effect always seem to do a better job of just framing the conversation. Yeah, as in there'll be a cut.
Too, I thought as well.
Exactly. The Witcher as well. That done a far better job. But you can see that it's had Obsidian's hands over it, because that's how they've created how New Vegas was, and they've obviously used a lot of influences from the Fallout world and used this as a template. But it does just still zoom like right into their face, and they're just sort of staring at you whilst they're talking. But the facial animations are at least not just completely bland. Like that's one thing I thought, this is just everyone's going to rip it apart for this, but they're not great, but they're passable. Whereas in some of the Fallout games, they've just been awful at times. You're talking to a piece of wood. Right, what's going on here? But they've also not your character has not got a voice, so you choose the text sort of option of what you want to say. And I think I prefer this, because I know in Fallout 4 Bethesda made a big thing about your character's now got a voice, so they talk, which was good, but it limited what you could say, I felt. And sometimes you'd ask them to say something and it wouldn't say that. It'd come. You'd think you were saying one thing, and actually, when it come out of the fella's mouth or the woman's mouth, it would be saying something else. And he was like, "Oh, I thought they were going to translate that differently." Whereas with the text options, you get a lot more opportunity to kind of say what you want to say, and it's a bit more specific. You're not going to miscommunicate with someone, I guess.
No, true. And I've just remembered what my biggest gripe with this game is, and I fucking hate it. I hate it in any single game, and that's weapon degradation.
Oh, yeah, and armour.
Did you have and armour as well? Did you have it in Fallout 4? I can't remember.
You know what? I don't think you did. I know in 3 definitely did.
No, melee weapons used to break after a little while, I think, but...
Yeah, I'll look it up and see if Fallout 4 did. You know, it's been so long.
But I tend to shoot someone for about 2 minutes, and then that's it. My weapon's got a fucking spanner next to it. I'm like, for fuck's sake!
Yeah, no, it hasn't. No, there's no weapon degradation on Fallout 4.
Oh, fucking good. I hated it in Breath of the Wild. I hate it in this. And yeah...
Breath of the Wild was the worst.
Yeah, that was true.
Something just snapped, and you can never use it again. It was
brilliant. Yeah, the good thing about this is you can repair everything.
Yeah.
And it's it's not too much of a botherance in terms of you can do it on the fly, but it just I even unlocked a perk that made me look after my guns and ammo a bit more.
Yeah.
And it still just seems to break every time I get into the thing.
There's something to be said about that just not being in games.
No.
I mean, yeah, you can repair the weapon again, but it's still arseache. You've still got to have the right weapon parts to be able to repair it. And it puts me off ever investing my time into like modding or upgrading a weapon, because I think, if this breaks down, then I can't repair it. I can't use it, and it'll be a waste of all this. So I'd rather it not be there. I don't think it's a good idea. I mean, there are perks, and I think you can build your character to be able to repair things on the fly, and it uses less. All that stuff's there, but I'm not really a fan of it. I've seen it implemented worse, and I've seen it implemented better. It's not. It's not something I would be writing off to whoever's saying, "Oh, make sure you look at the weapon degradation in this game, because it will really make your experience better."
No, I feel like I've given this a good slagging, to be fair, but I got to say I'm enjoying it a bit more. My first 2 hours, like I say, I did feel a bit sort of overbeared with all these tutorials, and then I did play last night for a good solid 5 hours.
Right.
I sort of come off the first world and progressed a bit in the game, and I did have a more positive role on it. It's just, like I say, it's not the type of game that it's certainly not my favourite type of genre, but it's one I'm happy to be able to play because it's access to it.
Yeah.
And I can see it's a bit like sort of your opinion of Forza, where you sort of know it's a good game, but something's not clicking for you, and therefore it's hard to sort of
get behind it.
Yeah, get behind it and push that. It's this sort of 9 out of 10 game.
Yeah, no, I mean I can see that. I was surprised, to be honest, you've played as much as you did and actually haven't come away worse of it, because just considering that, I know you didn't particularly enjoy Fallout 3 too much, or 4. I didn't like 4 too much, but it feels like the setting's more interesting. They've scaled it back a bit, gone in hard on narrative decisions and giving you freedom, which is always good. So I think it's one of those games, if you just play it as like a straight shooter and don't try anything interesting in terms of dialogue options or choices, you'll probably have a pretty standard experience of it. But if you go out of your way to sort of be a little bit wacky or do something you wouldn't normally do, I think you might have more fun with it. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do, even though it goes completely against my nature of how I play games. I never do this, but I've been trying to break out of that and be a little bit more bold with what I do. You mentioned that you're trying to create a Han Solo-esque character.
Yeah.
The big question is that at the start you get a character creator.
Yeah,
you can choose their look, and there's quite a lot of options there. I'm starting to fall into the habit of just randomising to a
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, usually, obviously, at Adkins, I'd sit there for hours trying to make someone, and I don't ever try and make myself. I just try and make something that I think's interesting. On this occasion, I just went with the randomiser. I found like a base that I wanted to do, changed the hair a little bit.
Yeah,
made him a bit dirty or whatever, and then that was it. But you also get an opportunity to name the character. Did you name the character Han Solo, or did you go with just Tom?
I didn't. I went with Derek. I've gone through, but the last sort of few games I played, I've just gone up for just straight British names. My Diablo Necromancer character was called Nige.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't remember. I think my character in Astral Chain, that's Bill. And yeah, so I've just
You'll get
gone
Norm
for
in there.
yeah. So I've just Norm. Yeah, Norm. What was? Oh, that's the thing, isn't it?
That's my little.
That's your Norm.
That's my little pig in Monster Hunter World. Yeah, is it a pig or is it? You get like this little pet thing that follows you around when you're at the home base. But I named him Norm.
That's it. So that's what I've gone for. But he doesn't look like Han Solo at all. He looks like he should just be drinking craft beer. He looks like a hipster. He's got a dirty, great big beard.
Yeah.
And a sort of trendy haircut that's a bit red. And he walks around in a spacesuit drinking craft beer. You can choose your job title. And I think I did put like a bartender.
Oh yeah. Because that you can choose. Yeah, you can choose like a starting sort of career that you had on Earth, and that will sort of give you a little boost on certain stats. Quickly on the stats side, what sort of build have you gone for? I mean, I know you said you was trying to invest in stealth and bits and pieces. I've gone heavy on leadership and speech. Haven't done much in terms of like engineering or melee or ranged weapons, bits and pieces. But there's about 8 or 10 different categories, isn't there, what you can put points into, and every level you get 10 of those to put in, and then every 2 levels you get to add perks, which sort of add permanent buffs or bits and pieces to your character.
Yeah, I think that this is, like I said, the RPG elements of this game are incredible. And I think that have you come across companions? Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. I've bumped into, yeah.
Don't want to spoil it. The fact that you can then like move some perks over, or they get their separate perks. Your companions, you can sort of boost their carrying weight.
Yes, yeah,
it's incredible. My Han Solo character, I went for. I think I must have done the sort of the speech one, so he can sort of lie his way out of things.
Yeah,
but I also went for like the hacking. I think that did come under stealth.
Ah, yes.
It's sort of the way just to hack things and that. Like I said, I was going to be a sort of sneaky sort of bastard.
Yeah.
Sneaking around. I'm stealing everything as much as I can.
Yeah, absolutely.
One thing I haven't been caught yet, but there doesn't seem to be any sort of penalty for stealing unless you're caught.
No. I mean, in those games, because I know that currency becomes early on is a bit difficult to come by. I usually nick as much as I can and then sell it off and get like a good little sort of like trust fund going. Funny enough, when I was playing Kingdom Come Deliverance, if you steal something for a certain period in that game area, if you try and sell it, it doesn't let you because they know it's stolen.
Really? Oh.
And if there's sometimes the guards will randomly ask to stop and search you, and you can try and talk your way out of it. But if you can't, if they search you and find any stolen items, they'll confiscate it and fine you. And there's a little bit of blowback on that, which is quite interesting. But I haven't been caught stealing or had any percussions. I did shoot up the first sort of hub area just to see what would happen, and it let me do it. Like there was no like game over or anything. I killed pretty much everyone, and the reputation with that area goes down because there's like a reputation screen that shows you whether you're like a positive or a negative with certain factions. And the good thing is, it mentions specifically in one of the little tip screens that you can be both, feared and also kind of idolised, so you can have 100% on both sort of negative and positive, and it will create an interesting sort of dynamic that people have a split opinion of you. So
that's brilliant, isn't it? I forgot what I was going to say. No, it's gone.
That's what happens sometimes. That's the Outer Worlds. I think if you've got Game Pass and you've been interested in these games previously, you absolutely give it a go. If you haven't got Game Pass, I'd still say buy it if you enjoyed Fallout. Just know that it's not the one big open map sprawling world where you go wandering off. Because some people start Fallout and they say, right, where's the main objective? Right, north. I'm going to go south. Yeah. Well, that's not the case here. There is room for exploration and to get around, but you're not going to get very far without progressing on the sort of tasks and the missions that are there.
And I also think that the trailers were, or certainly the E3 trailers were a slightly bit misleading, that so far this game isn't as sort of comical as I thought it was going to be. It's sort of, I think it's still undertones, but certainly in the first sort of 5 hours that we played,
Yeah.
I was expecting a sort of, witty,
Tales of the Borderlands.
Tales of the Borderlands style game, and there's been a few laughs here and there, but certainly none that the trailer implied.
No.
But
No, yeah.
it's still early days to see, but yeah.
Yeah. One of the things I took away from the trailer was that one of the comedy things they were kind of putting on it was how you acted. So I'm wondering whether the onus is on you to say things.
Right.
I've been really trying to antagonise and like say things to like wind people up and
Yeah.
do things that I think will get a reaction. And you do get a few comical responses and catch people out and whatnot. But yeah, 'cause I remember one of the trailers it said was kind of like are you a good guy, a bad guy, or a psychopath? And it kind of went through like a couple of scenarios. One where you take a gun off someone and help them. One where you just kill the guy and take the gun. Then one where you take the gun, help him, then kill him. So it was kind of playing on that. But yeah, I wouldn't say that the characters I've met are overly funny, but some of the things that I've kind of had to get out of them, or the way they've reacted to me have made me chuckle a bit, but not a laughs a minute type of game.
No. I'm definitely going to keep at it. Hopefully I can try and get it done before next week, because I think there's a couple of games coming up that's definitely going to put this on the back burner. But yeah, like I say, I'm definitely enjoying it more than Fallout. But yeah, these games are not normally my bag.
No, well, we'll see. I mean, I'll definitely get through it. I'm enjoying it, and yes, it's a bit more scaled back, but I don't know. I feel like it won't need 100 hours, but
never know.
I don't know that just yet, because I've spent 6 hours in one area, and I thought, wow, that was
different planets.
Yeah, that was excessive. But I feel like it's going to be a bit more scaled back for people. But yeah, if you want the sprawling, go off and do what you want, probably not quite there with this, but this is more of like a hybrid, which I'm kind of warming to. I finished the Call of Duty Modern Warfare campaign.
Cool. What was the last Call of Duty you bought before this?
The last one I played was World War II.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know whether I bought it though.
Oh no, that was the one before the multiplayer one, though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
What about the one with Conor McGregor in that?
No, I didn't play it with Kit Harington. I didn't play that.
What about the one with fucking Sex Fest over Kevin Spacey?
No, didn't play that one.
That one.
No.
Black Ops 2? Ghost?
No, didn't play Ghost or Black Ops 2. I can't. Yeah, it's been a while.
Maybe Black Ops. The original?
Black Ops, OG Black Ops. I definitely went through the campaign on that.
Right. So that might be the last one that you bought.
Yeah.
When was that? Hold on. 2010. So 9 years late, you've gone, right, I'm going to buy another Black Ops. It's time.
Yeah. I don't know how I got my hands on World War II.
I'm trying to think. Did Biff have it?
Maybe I borrowed it. Yeah, perhaps.
Biff.
But
he had it at one point.
Yeah, I mean, my first kind of experience with Call of Duty was back on, I think it's Call of Duty maybe 2.
Yeah, that was my first then.
On PC this was. It was back in the old Master Race ways. It could have been 3. I can't remember now. It was one of those sort of ones.
3 was pretty much 2 DLC, wasn't it? If I remember.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I remember there was a lot set in, it was obviously World War II, but it was a lot set in Russia. And like the snow and stuff, but the breakout one was Call of Duty for Modern Warfare, like it was kind of for everyone. And then I played all the Modern Warfare. I played World at War, and then after that, I think that's when I kind of went off the boil a bit. Played the first Black Ops, didn't continue on with that, and then they announced there's going to be a Modern Warfare sort of reboot. Last year we didn't have a campaign, so there was hope in hell I was going to play it.
Don't know why I bought that. Ridiculous.
Oh, did you?
I bought it on Black Friday. It was in Tesco's for £30. To be fair, it's because it was my little brothers that wrote me into that, because they were. Oh
yeah.
I played it for about 6 hours and it's still there. I don't know why I bought it. It was it was good for playing online, but I don't play online very much. So
It's trouble.
Yeah,
That's always my problem with these games is that if I know if I'm going to buy it, unless anyone else has got it, which nowadays is rare, I'm only going to play the campaign and then bin it in. So I have to have something there, and that something this time was that it was like a reimagining, as they've been saying, of Modern Warfare. So Captain Price, who's in those, I think he's in all three. He's heading up this particular one, and he's back. It wasn't really him, but it was more like I kind of liked the. I'll tell you what really got my goat was when the previews come out and they said it's quite mature and it's got a lot of raw. Yeah, it looks like it had some disturbing bits, and I thought, you know what, I'll give that a go when it comes out. And then there's a little figure that come with it as well, a little Captain Price figure. So I kept him and played through the campaign over the weekend and finished it. And it's good.
You like it? Enjoyed it? It was raw as you thought it was going to be?
I don't know if I'm just desensitised. I mean, there was certain...
I struggle with things like this. After watching The Joker the other day, and there were some disturbing scenes, there were sort of people sat next to me, one of my friends, Yellow Boots, and and I've never seen someone wince so much at a scene.
Yeah.
And I just find myself, these horrible scenes, I just sort of go, It doesn't seem to faze me at all. And I think,
There's a couple in here. There's like one particular level where there's like an attack going on, like a full-blown terrorist attack, and you're not a terrorist in this, you're trying to stop it, but there's like civilians running around and there's terrorists like just murdering people. I mean, because of obviously what's happened not in recent years, probably going for a little while now, because it's a bit more
close to home, and
that was a bit. I was like,
really pulling on the heartstrings.
And you can, one of the things about the campaign I kind of appreciated was that it doesn't pull any punches. So if you aim and some civilian runs in front of you and you shoot them, they'll go down and you'll kill them. And so there's in those scenarios where there was sort of innocent lives there. It made it. I mean, if you're just a complete nutcase and just mowed everyone down, that's fine. But I didn't want to do that. No. Like, it definitely had some skin in the game where I was picking my shots, trying to like not kill anyone in the crossfire, whilst systematically trying to save people that were being like pushed up against a wall and executed. And you just think, oh god, there's too much going on here. And then there's a big thing made about there's a certain level where you control a little girl. It's like a flashback scene.
Oh, right, okay.
And there's an attack on the village they live in there, and there's a few bits in that people kind of thought was a bit close to home, but it certainly is aiming for that. I don't think it won't stir up and hasn't stirred up as much controversy as what No Russian did. I
was going to say, I remember that really kicking up a shitstorm.
Yeah, people didn't all like that.
No, and in today's society, there's a lot more offended people now than there was back then.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
So you'd think it would kick up a shitstorm, but alas, nothing.
Yeah.
You think other than those that would be stand out?
No, I don't think if you come into expecting to be just disgusted, I don't think you will. It's certainly a bit more powerful than what perhaps it had been before in certain scenarios. But I liked it overall, and there's some really good missions in it where it's much slower pace.
Right.
Like, it's not just constantly all out carnage and whatnot. There's some really good ones where you're trying to like extract someone from a building, and there's probably two of you and like two others that are going through the building, and you go room by room, floor by floor, and there's probably only like 6 enemies in the whole level. What? But there's people that are in the rooms that are, you don't know whether they're a terrorist or whether they are civilian or whatever, and you burst in the room, there's screaming, you're like looking around thinking, right, is anyone here to shoot? And you think, oh no, I won't. Or someone might go and lean to grab something, and you shoot them, and it turns out they're going for their phone or something like that. And you've got complete agency over who you kill and who you don't kill, either by sort of accident or on purpose. So I really enjoyed those missions where they just took a sort of step back and made you really think about every single kill that you made in those levels. And that's not normally what you get in Call. Normally it's all out carnage and everyone just gets mowed down. Whereas those sort of levels were a nice pace change. And they actually, it doesn't seem like it does anything, but at the end of each mission you can sort of look at your, not really stats, but it's like a mini stats box, and it'll say like what difficulty you've done it on.
Okay.
And one of the gradings on it is collateral damage. So there's obviously an in-game sort of tracker that shows how many bystanders or people that you killed in the line of duty, by accident.
Oh, wow.
I didn't get any. I think I got one achievement for not killing certain civilians in an area. Yeah,
feeling I haven't had a proper look, but a small glance, and I think all of the achievements are tied to the campaign. I think
there's an awful lot that are tied to it. Because I did have a look through. So I didn't get that many. I probably got 2 or 3 over the whole game.
Oh, really?
And a lot of them are during certain scenarios for carrying out certain actions that you probably wouldn't look until you've done it before. But
yeah.
But yeah, I got one for not killing any civilians during quite a chaotic moment, and I was like, that's at least my plan of not doing that has come to fruition.
Good.
So yeah, the campaign's good. I've not played and won't play any of the multiplayer stuff. But if you're one of those people that enjoy a brief campaign, just want to get through something start to finish over the course of a week or a weekend, then you can do a lot worse than Modern Warfare.
Yeah.
Probably a little bit steep, at full price just to play it for that. But if you're interested in playing multiplayer as well, you've got the standard sort of multiplayer stuff. They've now got a new sort of Conquest esque mode where it's I think it's 64 players on it. So they're going after that sort of Battlefield crowd with that one. And then they've got things like Survival, which is PlayStation only, so you can only get that if you've got a PlayStation. That's like a wave-based sort of light horde mode. Doesn't look very good. And then the real standout for those that play with others is probably the Spec Ops mode, which is missions that you can play cooperatively with 3 other people or with computer assistants or teammates, and they're meant to be sort of not like a raid, not that level of difficulty or complexity, but that's the hard sort of end game type missions. You need to kind of work together and take down a lot stronger enemies in that. There's a few little story tidbits that sort of carry on after the game that you can work through on that, but the overall package is there.
Oh, nice.
No zombies, but they've got Spec Ops instead,
which
I think they're sort of replacement for it, which I think is probably... I mean, I love zombies, but... I'd much rather play the Spec Ops if 3 others had it. But campaign's a thumbs up, and I think they've done a good job this year, because last year I had zero interest because they didn't even bother.
No. Does it look as good? Because I remember when they first released the trays and stuff, and they were explaining it was a new engine, and I remember thinking, oh, blimey, it looks good.
It does look fucking nice.
Does it?
I mean, obviously it is what it is. It's a linear-ish first-person shooter, but it looks gorgeous.
Yeah.
At times, yeah. And I remember watching the developer diaries where I was talking about how the night vision's actually real simulated night vision.
Oh, really?
Whereas in previous entries, it was a filter, basically.
Right.
That kind of went over the screen, whereas this time they put the work in to make it as realistic as possible. And, it's...
a real good one.
Yeah, it does look really good, and I've got no complaints around the graphical side of things in the campaign setting anyway.
No. Still same sort of length. I mean, the thing with these campaigns is that I don't want a fucking 20-hour campaign of this thing. I think they're normally between sort of 5 and 10 hours long, aren't they?
Yeah, and I think that, I can't remember how much I spent. I didn't check on the Xbox. I know you're normally quick at finding that. But I think it was too long. I think I did it in 2 sessions.
Oh, that's all right.
Probably, between 5 and... It's no longer than 10, that's for sure.
Nah.
And it's not. It doesn't outstay its welcome. Doesn't feel too short. I mean, maybe the sort of biggest criticism I could say would be that the overall kind of narrative in terms of what you're trying to stop and who you're trying to sort of... It gets a bit messy. And I remember on Modern Warfare, your enemy and that, your main person that you're going after, had a little bit more personality, whereas this, it doesn't seem to have... It didn't feel like it was really trying to stop or or get rid of someone that meant too much. It got a bit confusing halfway through, which I didn't expect to have go through in a game like this. But yeah, that's probably the only sort of main criticism, is the overall narrative probably wasn't as strong as some of the individual bits and pieces you do in the missions.
Yeah.
But same sort of good decent length, and it's on its merry way now. But if people came back in and said, "Oh, looked at that Spec Ops mode and we fancy giving it a go," I'd be up for running through that. But
Be interesting to see what they do next year, if they stick with this sort of grounded version, or if they go fucking balls to the walls again.
Well, it seems to be that they've got they
free
sort of
thing,
run through
is it?
cycles. Yeah, I don't know if they've still got free. But they had Treyarch, Sledgehammer, and Infinity Ward,
That's the one.
and they all sort of did different. They had their own sort of like
So which one's this
slant
one?
on it. This is Infinity Ward, so it's back to those guys. I mean, like most of them have left and gone to Respawn, but this is almost like a return of that studio almost. I think that they've sort of come back, and they are, it's not. I wouldn't say it's as good or as groundbreaking as Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, but it's certainly a good effort at what they've done previously, and I'm happy that I went through it and finished it.
Oh, nice, yeah. Yeah, I'd certainly like to get, like I say, probably paying full price, 'cause I don't tend to trade them or anything. That'd be a big whack for me, but I certainly, like yourself, I was sort of intrigued by it. Just that there's so much out at the minute that, although it is a nice short one and can get done quick, so maybe down the line.
Yeah, I mean, I think I got it for 46 or something. I can't remember how much it was now. It wasn't like cheap, because I had to get it off game because I wanted that little figure.
Oh, yeah.
And then I traded it and it went for 35.
Oh, so that's not too.
So 11 quid outlay for a campaign. And I was like, I'm happy with that.
Yeah, take that also.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I'll pay
Let's move on.
Oh, Swaz, I didn't even fucking touch it.